Hello everyone, this is Greyshot117 here.
And Greyshot151 here.
Doing another tier list. But before I do that, I do want to give a special shout out. If you didn't know, I was actually helping Skippy with his awesome 4v4 tournament going on. So if you have not checked that out, I really do recommend you do so.
Yeah, it was the King of the Noobs tournament, right?
Yep. And it's that they played through the initial bracket, and there'll be an upcoming bracket with the playoffs in the near future with the winners and the losers tournament. So highly recommend you check that out on his Twitch channel, which again will be coming up, and you can go to his site that kind of highlights that. But I want to give a shout out because he's put a lot of hard work into that. When I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Plus you're in it.
Yeah, and I'm in it. So in Midgeman and a few other guys. So again, highly recommend it. Check it out. And again, support other COH2 content creators. But in this video, you're going to find out what we think are the best COH2 Axis airstrikes. So will they be up to your standard? Probably not, but they'll be up to our standards.
Yeah, in regards to, again, S is a guarantee, A is always, B is B is good, C is average, D is like, you really don't want it, and F is just terrible.
Yeah, it's
a combination of personal preference, actual use, cost, all those types of things.
These are for call-ins that are support. We will be doing weapon call-ins such as munition call-ins,
those that
crates,
affect infantry, yeah.
Stuff like that, or units in general. We'll be doing that in a separate video. So you don't see something on here, it's most likely in another video. But if we miss anything as well, let us know.
Yep.
But for direct strikes, call-ins, stuff like that, here's the list. Let's
dive in, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. First up, let's go over.
Why don't we go with the recons?
Yeah, because it's funny. There are two different recons, and they double up, but it's weird. The Axis commanders have very similar images, even though they're different or very similar. For example, these two recons are the exact same recon, depending on who you're with. Yep. The Luftwaffe has a recon that was a Strafe.
Yes.
And then you have the one that is drop smoke that's been reconstituted to a Strafe.
Yep.
So with this in mind, what would you rank these two? Essentially, they're the same thing. It's the Strafe that goes around that drops smoke. What would you rank that?
What is the cost of the smoke? I'm pretty sure
it's I think 40 munitions.
And what's the cost of the recon pass?
40 munitions.
I would make note the smoke therefore is greater than.
Yes.
Like you naturally get an ability.
I want to say it's been patched out. It's been a while since I've used that recon pass for the Germans, but I want to say I'm 99.9% sure it's the exact same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so if that is the case, what would you rank the smoke pass in general?
I'd give the normal recon a B. It's recon. It's good. Yeah. It's a single pass, so you got to make sure it hits.
But also drop smoke, so that's good support.
No. I would actually argue the smoke is one up, if not S tier.
Okay, so so we'll put it like this: with the recon pass itself, is B tier.
Yep.
Add the smoke, A tier. Now, I believe the B tier has been phased out, but just in case you're playing on an older version or something like that, A tier. Again, could be wrong with that, but I'm 99.9% sure that
A tier. Because first off, the AA of your enemy usually shoots this thing down into their own units, which is amazing. And secondly, you get a combo if like you need smoke, you got it, and you need recon, you got it, and both work with each other. They're not negatively impacting each other.
Yes.
Like some of the commanders we talked about last time, a lot of things sometimes could go either way, or they didn't really seem to fit like a specific doctrine. This is universally great in all scenarios.
Would you say the normal recon pass that is more, it goes in a circular? Again, weird. These are both two separate ones, but they have them listed.
Yeah.
The one that goes in a circle, you would
Strafe,
you would list this as a more consistent recon.
It's more expensive, and I'd say it's an A tier for what it is. The reason why the smoke also gets it, you have that utility.
Yeah.
The cost is lower, and it's again, you drop a plane on them. It's more precise almost. You can almost.
But you would probably say the best recon's flares.
Easily. You can't shoot it down. It highlights a specific area for a long period of time. Put this with the fortification, aka.
I would say it is smaller though. The area of effect is a little bit smaller, right?
Yeah.
And also, to counter, and also it does draw attention to it if the enemy spots it that there might be something coming down there.
Yeah, true.
But you are right. It's unblockable, unlike the recon, which technically would do the same thing. It's like highlighting, hey, the enemy's looking over this area.
Yep.
So, anyway, that's all the recon, so that makes things a lot easier.
It does.
Let's call in direct strikes. So we have one. First, let's go with the Stuka bomb that people forget is a Stuka bomb that doesn't really hurt stuff.
It's the Stuka bomb that hits points.
Yes,
right?
It essentially will neutralize points. It costs around, I think it's 70 or 80 munitions, something like that. But essentially, it will call in, hit a point, neutralize it.
Yeah.
But if there's a cache down on it, it will hurt the cache lightly, not majorly, lightly, but the cache will still be there.
I'd argue with that because it can't even kill the cache. It's good in certain times, but it's not something that's good. It doesn't have a lot of utility always. Like, you can neutralize a point if you're losing a star. Great. But you could do that with a normal Stuka. Yeah, it's a lot more expensive, but, like, it just seems like it just kind of seems like it's good for when you use it, but you're not using it all the time. It doesn't have that that use that you're like, oh yeah, I can use it all the time, like the Recon for like S tier, the flares.
No, I agree. It's one of those things where it's like, with the doctrine itself, it's good in tandem with another thing.
Yep.
But the problem with it is the fact that separately, unless you're going to encircle something, the enemy could recapture it very quickly.
Yeah, unless you're certainly, like, what's the point? Like, if somebody's healing from a point, it's usually more than one point holds the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's bad. That's why I think C is a good place for it. But it's just kind of very specific.
Yep. No, again,
niche. That's a very niche use. It's good for what it does, but it's niche.
It does make sense. I will admit. We also have the Stuka bomb. That's not the actual plane. It's
it comes in and it's 200 munitions. Yeah.
I would say it's A tier because it drops smoke. It does it's a precision bomb strike essentially.
Yeah.
It will hurt stuff. It will cause some damage, but and it's pretty powerful in its own right. But I would say it's A tier for direct strikes.
It is very powerful. I would say it's B tier. But
okay.
I will lead in your judgment on this one.
I will say there's it's good to kill in placements. It's roughly on par with an IL-2 bomb strike, but it can't be blocked.
Yep.
So
it is very powerful, and that's the thing I would agree.
The reason why it's not S tier is because wait, hold on, let me make sure I got the right Stuka. Yes, this is the Stuka bomb.
Oh, S tier.
Yeah, that's S tier. It's unblockable.
Yep.
You have to literally hear for it, and there's no red smoke or anything, so it's sometimes hard to identify where it's going to hit on. Yep. Compared to a lot of these others.
You also, the Stuka is great because most of these call-ins, all of them, like 99%.
Yeah.
They all use visualization to indicate what's going on.
Yes.
There's smoke, there's like the flares that happen, and then you see it on the map. There's a lot of signs that something bad is going to happen. When the Stuka is coming down, the only visual key is your hearing.
Yeah.
And that can be overlooked many a times.
Yes.
People focus on the map, people look at different things. And remember, it's only audio. So if you're looking at another part of the map, you might not actually hear the Stuka at all. Yeah. And then you come back and you're like, well, my ambulance is dead with all three of my rifles.
But let's say something like an airstrike coming in, you can see the red lines coming over it. The Recon, you can see it on the mini-map. There's some indications. Sure, you could say...
Because it's so different and it's so powerful. Like, when it comes down, it can hurt tanks. It murders infantry easily.
Yeah.
But this sucker is something you will fear on the battlefield if you're playing against a Wehrmacht.
Yeah. Nope. I agree with that statement. Now let's bring in some artillery strikes. So first up, railway. This is my least liked. And artillery, and I'll explain why. It is very powerful. It is extremely powerful for a tiny area that it will constantly hit with a couple very explosive rounds. That typically the enemy will just fall back on. There's no real area of effect. If the enemy's paying attention, you're gonna fine. If they're not,
it's hitting fortifications, like
it also can miss. Like there's a chance that the railway will miss target.
Oh, very easily, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'd say D is a good place for it, because it's a call-in that you're like, I wish I could have anything else. It's not average. It's very much below average in regards to like a lot of the call-ins that we have.
Yes.
And the inaccuracy coupled with the fact that the enemy can escape from that area very quickly. The only thing it's good against fortifications. That's why I don't think it goes any lower.
Yeah.
But unless you're fighting, if you're fighting like the Soviets and the Americans and they decide, yeah, we're not going to play that game. You can call this down. You might get one shot, but they're just gonna leave. And it couples the worst part of like the Katyusha. The Katyusha fires one barrage, and yeah, it fires a lot of barrages. But if the enemy knows about it, they can just leave. Same thing.
One thing I'll also bring up is zeroing. I think that's like night and day. Whereas it's more expensive.
Yeah.
But zeroing is much more impactful.
Oh yeah, it'll clear for. I argue that's S tier.
No, there's one huge negative to it. It can be called down and not hurt a single unit.
As long as they don't fire.
As long as they don't fire, and as long as they don't remain in
circle.
Yep. Or no, they don't remain in circle. But again, that's with most things. The big thing is if they remain undetected, or they just don't shoot. So if you don't have sight lines on it, zeroing is not effective.
Let's say you put it over artillery and they don't fire, it won't destroy the artillery.
The one thing I'll say railway is you call it down, you lose sight, it'll still come down.
That's why it's a good combo with the flares, which again, why the flare is S tier.
Yeah, special operations fortifications is an unexpected great combo.
Yep.
Yeah, because of that. So let's kind of compare other. How about sector artillery? What would you think about that?
Kind of expensive.
It's what, 200 munitions? Yeah, it's 200
it comes
munitions.
With the Ostwind, right? It's the,
yes.
Scavenge doctrine.
Well, no, no, that's the 105.
Oh,
that's this one in particular is the one that is with a lot of defensive doctrines. They'll call down an ally or in Axis held territory and just hit any allied unit that comes on in.
Oh, yes.
Now, okay. I believe it's also, so I think this is also A tier. I think this is something that's very good defensive, but not offensively.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's where I would put it.
I'd make note B because you're really putting this only on the defense.
Okay.
It doesn't have that utility like zeroing. You can do it for offense or defense. Yeah, it hits a smaller area, but now again, for me, I don't see the use of it that often.
Now, assault artillery before it was buffed, I would say this would be like C. It's good for like an area, but it can regularly miss. It's the nice addition of smoke is a good bonus.
Now you can move it.
Now you can move it and it'll shoot up. I would say because of its attack, it's still pretty powerful. It does have a good, good area they can see in.
It is expensive, but it's still, I would say it's worth it. I'd say it's at least a B tier.
Yes.
Obviously, the zeroing is better for what it does, like comparatively.
And sector assault's better for holding a lot more. It covers a lot more and doesn't equal damage. These two again definitely have a way to S tier. I just say the recon is a big aspect. And
you need the recon.
And you have to hold territory. You can't use it in allied territory. It's the big nose. This one, sure you can call it in, but also of the mindset.
It's kind of scattered. It's not as powerful as the other ones. And yeah, you also get smoke, but...
What about the 105? What do you think of that?
The 105 from the Scavenge?
Yeah.
Unless they've changed it, I would say it's C. It's like average.
Yeah.
It's
fine.
It feels expensive.
It's 180.
Really?
I think it's 180. Yeah.
They must have nerfed it. I could have sworn it was like 300. Because doesn't it use your excess munitions? Maybe I've not played that.
That's the weird thing. It says something, but I swear it's just a normal strike. Again, please let me know, because I've tried to look up this stuff, and it's like sometimes difficult to realize. It says more, sure.
The real thing is I've used it, and it just never left an impression on me.
Yeah.
They could have buffed it with the patch or something, but I've never really been attached to the Ostwind, so I've never really attached to the doctrine,
we're not saying that strike is ineffective in the game. We're just saying
it's average
comparatively to other artilleries, such as the Granddaddy artillery, which is why I'm bringing it up here, which is Crush the Pockets. This is S tier.
Oh,
if unlocked, this is the best artillery because it kills everything. You don't even have to have sight. All you need to do is make sure the enemy territory is cut off. That is the big counter to it. Is it has the enemy territory has been circled, but it's so powerful and does so much damage. It's S tier.
You can break a game. It can literally cause an entire enemy team to die.
Yes,
it's that powerful. It is the Exodia of COH2.
Yes, it's the Exodia of artillery strikes. Compared to zeroing's impactful for that area, but you also need recon. This doesn't need it. All you need is to cut off territory.
Yep.
And some maps, it's only like 1 or 2 spots you would need to cut off in the entire enemy map. Red ball or white ball.
Red ball especially, yeah.
Yeah. What about light artillery barrage? Now, this actually I find more impactful. It's a good... It calls in pretty quick, does a decent amount of damage.
I would actually I'd give it an A tier because the fact is, it fires relatively quickly, and that's its biggest attribute. It doesn't do that much damage compared to the other ones, but like the speed which it comes down on is enough that usually it kills whatever it hits. Like by the time you realize and you try to move it, it's already dead. Like it's actually pretty powerful for killing like machine guns. This is usually what you want to use to kill like AT, machine guns, infantry, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because by the time it hits, the infantry's you're like, what?
Unless they have quick reaction time, it can take it out.
Yep.
All right, so that's all the artillery strikes, except for one, Panzer Commander. Yes, I know this is similar to the forward base where you can upgrade your unit, but it does call in a separate artillery strike through the upgrade that is unlocked through the commander. It's 80 munitions. It's decently impactful. It does take a few seconds.
The call-in's, I think, 120.
No, it's 80.
It's still 80?
80 munitions.
I was thinking of the upgrade. Oh, yeah, the upgrade's like 30. Okay, regardless. Yeah, no, it's powerful. I'd actually argue that it's definitely worth it.
I would say B tier because it is, while it is very cheap,
you do sacrifice the machine gun.
Yeah, you do sacrifice machine gun, and the big thing about it is impactful, but it does take a few seconds to call in.
Yep.
If
it is
someone's
slower
reacting.
than the light artillery barrage, yeah.
But if someone has a forward like an AT line or something, they will have to move.
Yeah, the best thing to have this on is like a King Tiger, and then if they have like 2 AT guns, call it on the AT guns, and the AT guns have to move or they will die, and then you shoot the AT guns as they move.
But the call-in radius around the tank's pretty good. It's still pretty cheap compared to other artillery strikes.
Oh, yeah.
And in a pushback enemy, infantry, AT support, stuff like that, I would say it's worth it.
Yep.
Or even hell, if you have a goddamn Churchill that's repairing, doop, just call it in. It's like, oh, I'm repairing. Well, enjoy repairs while artillery hits you.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, so let's call in plane strikes now. So first off, we'll go with the machine gun strafe. There's
just the simple machine gun strafe.
We have one strafe and one strafe that keeps going around. Again, both same picture.
Okay, so for the single strafe,
yes,
this just suppresses infantry.
Yes,
I would make note C tier.
Okay,
because
yeah,
it suppresses them, which is good, but
you can run infantry over if comboed.
Yeah,
I mean it's a good combo for that,
but it doesn't really. For me, it doesn't tickle my hands.
There is a smaller radius to effect.
It doesn't do while the strafe though, the continuously circling.
Yeah,
I would argue that is B tier. It's very like a B plus.
Okay,
like it is very good for what it does. I quite enjoy it.
Now, it's funny. What would you put the flame at? Because it drops flames that literally burn infantry and armor. It'll deny areas. And that's why I say maybe it's A tier. Because not only can you use it offensively, you can use it defensively. Because you can essentially use it to... it's not just it passes, it's done. Yeah, the strafe will suppress infantry. And maybe you can combo that with keeping them suppressed.
No.
Fire, you literally... If you walk through it, will die.
Yeah, it's good against emplacements. It's good against denying enemy infantry. It's good against attacking the enemy infantry, like forcing them to come to you or retreat.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd go A tier.
Okay. Now, once again, we have the same thing: Stuka strafe and a Stuka run. The Stuka run, I would say A tier. The Stuka one would be B tier.
Yeah. The single B.
The B is because it's good against armor and emplacements.
Yeah.
And the run because it's good against armor.
It's the same thing like what we talked about the allies. This can be the difference between 3 Jacksons getting away and 2 Jacksons dying. It's very powerful. They chase down the enemy units. Yeah, it's really good, especially since most allied armor is rather weaker.
Yeah.
It's better because like with the Americans with their P-47 strikes, you need to make sure the Panther or the Tiger is lower because they have less armor or less health. Or I mean, sorry, more health.
I get what you're saying.
But flip side, allies have less armor, so if this hits, they could be like 25% health or even higher, and they will get shredded.
By the way, we're not just marking the MG lower because it does less against infantry. To put in perspective, if you do a strafe behind enemy lines, you're just going to suppress them. Yeah. That's all it's going to do. But if you call in a strafing support behind enemy lines, it'll do the exact same thing as it'll do in front, which will, if the enemy's not moving or gets hit, will be strafed and killed. The strafe isn't going to kill infantry. Compared to the allied ones that do actually do damage against infantry.
Also keep in mind that, like, again, we talked about this with the Soviet.
Yeah.
When the reason why the Soviets is so good is because it does so much damage, and that arc is dead. Yeah. This is similar. It's not as good, nowhere near as good. But like that line, if anything's in that line, like 3 Katyushas, they're all gone.
Now where would you put the frag bomb? Frag bomb's also
I'd argue S tier.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It stuns armor, hurts fortifications, and pulverizes infantry.
There's nothing left.
Even light armor's dead.
I've seen there's an infamous clip of me. There's a very infamous clip of me, and
if you're a Patreon supporter, that's the first video you see.
I despise you, but no. Regardless, I saw him watch like wipe 7 or 8 squads, maybe 9 squads in an ambulance. It was insane, but yeah, it's probably the most infamous drop next to the Stuka for the Wehrmacht. It's just so powerful and so good.
Now
it's only 180 too. It's not that bad.
No, these 2 airstrikes have been reworked. So this one's Fallschirmjäger. Yep. It's essentially been transferred to there is a machine gun, but also an anti-armor strafe mostly.
Yep.
This one's basically they removed the bomber and is now anti-armor strafe.
Yep.
So compared to let's say this,
I'd say C and B.
Here's the thing though, I think there are more planes with this one. It's 250.
It's It's very expensive.
It is, but it does bring in a lot more planes.
Yeah.
So, again, I know it's more expensive and they kind of rework things, but I do think that even with after the rework, after they added more planes to it, after they allow it to essentially call in quite a number of stuff, I think it's at least on the same par as this one. I want to say so.
Okay.
Now, the Fallschirmjäger one, we'll say B tier.
You get a Fallschirmjäger unit, sure.
They don't get that anymore.
They don't?
You are behind on your code. Every single thing you're behind on.
I am so behind.
Jesus, this is
Listen, I have my select commanders, and I've been choosing them. I've been having a lot of fun with Goliath, let me just say, but I've not once called in the call-in. Because you don't use the munitions, you use them for the Goliaths to murder the infantry. Why would you save up for this when you...
Because it's actually a good strike if you need it, to fight against large groups. It is good, it's just Goliath. The Goliath is something that is completely different.
Listen, no, but they're part of the same commander. It's
a call-in, we'll talk about that next time, but... for this, I would definitely say it's A tier. Overshadowed greatly by an S tier unit, but it's A tier. Meanwhile, the Fallschirmjäger one, I'd say it's better than the original one of just the strafe and helping Fallschirmjägers, but I would say it's B tier. But again, that's from its support quality and my thoughts. But hey, what do you guys think? Are we wrong about that? Is he definitely wrong and out of touch with COH2? And why do I even bring you on these anymore?
I don't know why either.
Okay. Alec, you're going to be on the next one. Thanks! In any case, guys, it's going to be it. Make sure, by the way, if you want to support the channel, hit that like, subscribe button. And if you want to see him freak out about a frag bomb, check out my Patreon and make sure you become a member so you can see that as your first video introduction to Greyshot Productions. Or, But anyway, this has been Greyshot17.
151.
And we'll see you next time when we talk about weapons. And we're going to put you through a crash course in the meantime. Hello everyone, this is Greyshot. Before I go, I want to give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Josh, Milam, Joey G240, Just Thomas Plays, Spartycus, Rifle, JrChicklis, Pyroshark, Ion, Ollie, Ace, GTA, and Jacob Osweight. Thank you all for your incredible support. This has been Greyshot17 and his amazing patrons, and I'll see you all next time.